Okay. Can we begin this interview with your name?
Tito Chavez.
Okay. And how did you get the idea to start your business?
Actually, it was my parents' idea
Okay.
in about 1947. So I sort of inherited the business, but I had been in it since I was 14 years old, off and on.
Okay. Okay. What was the driving factor that pushed you into opening your own business?
I guess because I grew up in this environment, and I've always enjoyed it. I like people. When I decided to retire, I decided that I would come back and do this, so to speak, full time.
Okay. All right. When did you decide it was a good time to, open your business or start running this business full time?
I guess pretty much when I retired from a couple of my other endeavors.
Okay.
So I was in the Mexico State Senate for 20 years. I was done with that, and I was the Berlin County Attorney for this county for 15 years full time, and I retired from that.
Wow.
And I was chair of the Blue Cross Blue Shield board here in uh, New Mexico for 22 years, and that was pretty much over. So I had enough time to do it full time.
Wow.
There are a couple other factors. One is, we'll get to that later on, I'm sure, about the COVID.
Okay.
So you said full time. I definitely am totally full time now, as I don't have as many clerks as I used to.
Okay. Perfect. Um, where would you recommend an entrepreneur like myself start my own business?
Where
Yeah, where like how what path would you lead me down if I were to follow your advice into opening my own business?
Well, I think these days, there's some help too for folks who don't have a lot of business background. I mean, there's, like I know there's the Hispanic um, Chamber of Commerce, things like that. There's programs that teach young people basically how to start a business. There's incubators now where you start a small business, you can start in one of those incubators, depending on the type of business, and then expand from there. So I'm sure probably the City Chamber of Commerce must have some programs like that too. I would suggest getting some advice like that.
Perfect. Okay. Um, why did you choose to be a trader?
I guess to continue with it, because my folks started this, I think because I really enjoy the art. It's just amazing. I'm just flabbergasted by the beauty of what comes into this shop. From the Zunis and Navajos, the Kiowas who used to be Santo Domingo. It's just amazing what the various tribes can do. And then the pottery pueblos. I mean, there's just a lot of beauty surrounding it. And again, I enjoy people, and people certainly want to experience some of the Southwest and the cultures that we have here.
Wow. Okay. Great. Yeah, I'm looking around and it's beautiful art here. Um, how did you attract your inventory?
Well, because we've been here so long, since 1947, a lot of the natives that were generations really know us.
Okay.
So a lot of this inventory, they come here because they know where we're at. We've dealt with them for many, many years. A lot of them actually friends. And that's sort of how it continued. If not, for the things that we don't get here, when I was young, I would go with my dad to Gallup, to the Zuni Reservation, to some of the Navajo sections, and buy the jewelry, and also to some of the pueblos to buy pottery. And so I continue that way, but I only have to go out maybe 10, 15% of for 10 or 15% of the inventory because everything else, a lot of those folks come here.
Okay.
We have relationships over a long period of time.
So okay, so after a certain amount of time, people start coming to you.
Yes, and they know we're here, and we're in the tourist areas. They know that this is a place where the merchandise is going to turn over.
Right. What are your expectations for your business this year?
I guess because of COVID and it changed everything, I just like to at least uh, match or exceed probably 2 years ago. Last year certainly was different because we were shut down for 2 months, then another time 2 weeks.
Oh man.
Our slowest time of year is January, February, and then we shut down March 20th when the whole spring season and the travel starts March 15th. So we were literally almost like shut down for 4 months. And that was a little scary, but I got a little bit of assistance from the government, which I really appreciated.
Awesome. That's great. When your greatest failure hit, what did you do? I guess you kind of briefly touched on that.
Well, that's another issue, I guess. We also own the property that the business is on, and when we had a gentleman we had a restaurant on one side, and the gentleman had to leave, and when he left, we went into negotiations with somebody else for several months, and that didn't it wasn't coming to a conclusion, and money was getting a little tight, and so I actually went out and I got a loan for the first time ever. Um, and for this family, and so then that that gets a little tough to be paying, but we made it through it and got that paid off,
Wow.
and got a new tenant, of course, and on we go. So I guess the most difficulty was the entire premises, not just the business.
Okay. Okay. Um, did you use any type of innovation to help you when COVID-19 hit? If so, how?
In terms of, oh, I see. Innovation to continue operating. Not really. I mean, the time that we were shut down, we were shut down. When we weren't shut down, we would open and just follow all the criteria,
Okay.
be as careful as we can. We're still doing that. We still follow all of it because we're not going to take a chance here,
Right.
as well as New Mexico is doing now. We're not letting up. I don't know about any innovation. I think some people might have gone more to the internet. They had that. We don't. We're kind of old school.
Okay.
I had a nephew who used to do the internet with that, but he went off and got a position in Pennsylvania.
Oh wow.
So he's kind of gone.
Okay. Why is your business unique to Albuquerque?
I think one we sit in the historic district. It's been that way since the '60s. They designated a certain area historic, so we can't change the outside of anything without permission from the boards downtown. Unique because we have a lot of the goods from the cultures that surround us, mainly Native American. We also have a lot of things from Mexico. Next door, one of my tenants has a lot of things from Guatemala. So we have a lot of interesting merchandise that a lot of the out-of-state visitors would like to see and purchase, take something home.
Right, right. That's an interesting. I didn't realize until you said it's a little different in there. How did you overcome your biggest setback as an entrepreneur?
I think that again, having to deal with the loan
Okay.
and the banks and so forth, and getting through that period was probably the hardest time that I can remember.
Okay. What type of mindset do you need to be successful in your business?
Well, I think people are made up all different kinds of ways.
Right.
I think you have to be kind of have a positive attitude, like people, if you're going to be dealing with the public, and I deal directly with the public in this business. When I was doing some of my other career choices, I had clerks that ran that would run the business when I was away, and they worked out very well. I chose primarily elderly people. They just tend to have less problems with the children and the boyfriends and the girlfriends and so forth, and it worked out really well. And they want to come down here like part-time because they want to see the public and they want to be active.
Right.
And so it worked out really well. And when the COVID hit and I had to let them go, they already had their pensions and so forth, so they were doing just fine. And actually, 2 of them got on unemployment for a while, so I was very happy for them.
That's good.
Things were easy.
That's good. What do you? When did you believe your strategy would work as a trader?
I think once I started, actually, I guess just running this place, I certainly had a good example to follow with my parents and so forth. But once I started, I had learned a lot along the way, and so that's going to take some learning. If somebody gets into this business, if you didn't grow up with it, you're going to have a lot to learn if you really want to be real successful at it. Because I know that there's places where people have come in here and they say, "Oh my God, you're knowledgeable, and we really appreciate your educating us on this and so forth." There's some sort of they go in and sometimes the clerks don't even know if it's what it is or who made it or that kind
Right.
of stuff.
Right.
So it's really helpful to have that information.
Okay. Are pawn and trade still a part of your business?
We never did pawn.
No. Okay.
Never did pawn, just retail, and we would always purchase it and resell it. I've only had about 4 items on consignment in the shop over however many years I've been around.
Okay. Where do you look for inspiration?
Oh, I think when I look around, I see other businesses that they're very successful in the same area, and certainly in Gallup, they have some really the generational traders have been there. And you go there, and that kind of gets you excited because you can see a lot. Right. You think you're running a big ship here, and then all of a sudden you're the canoe.
How did you get here as an entrepreneur?
Well, again, as a family business, and I enjoyed it. So then when I finished my other career choices, I decided to come do this full time.
Okay.
And I do run it with my 3 nephews now. My sister passed away. We've been partners in this thing. So they help me run this. I run the day-to-day operations.
Okay. What would you do if you were me trying to start a business?
Again, I think, well, 2 or 3 things. One is, I know when I talked about the programs that they have to learn about business, how to set it up, and all those sorts of things. 2 is learn about the government. You're gonna have some expenses you gotta pay along the way. So,
I bet.
And they have those little seminars or little tax seminars. You have unemployment insurance to pay for them. It's a new law now for granting 90 days of sick leave each year or 60 days, I forget.
Wow.
And that's going to be an expense you have to deal with. And so it's really the government's a big player in this thing. And then just talk to as many people as you can that are in the type of business you're going to go into, and read as much as you can.
Okay. That's great because I had no idea on any of that. But you did bring up some valid points there.
Sure, but we have, the government, like we pay a tax every month, the gross receipts tax in New Mexico. Every sale has usually most items have a sales tax, and that we have to send to the government at the end of each month. So you better save that to send that in, and then you have the employee issues.
Okay. Would you expand to other genres beyond the trading post?
I think had I been doing this at a younger age, I would have. I don't think there's any doubt I would have. I was doing so many other things that I did not.
Yeah.
At one point in the 1970s, the Native American jewelry and the pot and so forth was really popular. It was just nationwide. I think there was just a lot of excitement about it. And some gentlemen came into this store and they asked me if I wanted to go with them to California and set up a distributorship in California. And it was either that or go to law school. I just said I'm going to go to law school. It was more long term. For sure, there's a little less of a chance. But I always wondered what I would have done doing that, because that would have been a full-time thing.
Right.
I'd be much more involved. And I've seen other businesses grow faster, and they have a lot more merchandise and things that they're dealing with, but they tend to spend a lot more time with it.
Okay. Are you familiar with the late 19th and early 20th century Navajo traders?
I guess I'd say some of the traders that we dealt with when my dad was still dealing with some of the ones in Gallup. There was Toby Turpin. He was a big trader, generations out there. Yeah. He finally retired, and then his daughter married Perry Null. Perry Null now has that property in a huge trading post over there. The Winfields are generational. They're out on the Zuni Highway, and they're generational. And they have a beautiful place out there that they run. There's 2 or 3 or 4 others. We dealt mainly with Mr. Turpin for the reasons it's for cost and so forth back then. So yeah, some of those, yes, and of course I read about the ones in Arizona, the oldest trading posts and so forth, but I don't know them, and I'm not familiar with them personally.
Okay. Final question. How has Navajo culture influenced your business through art, tradition, or livelihood? If so, how?
Oh, yeah, I mean, economically, certainly, and then also in terms of our knowledge and enjoyment of all the art that comes through here. I mean, that's really mostly what people want to see, or have to take something home so they can show people what the culture is like. And there really is just an amazing talent that all the Navajos have had, from the pottery to jewelry to just everything you can look around and see. Navajos have done quite a job.
Is that a Navajo rug behind you?
That is the Navajo rug, right back there. There's a corner of it showing over my shoulder, and that rug has been hanging there since 1960.
Wow.
It would be a two-gray hill, as you know, that they're by areas in the Navajo Nation. And so two gray hills are always natural colors like black, brown, white, gray. That one would be a two gray hill, except it's got four little blue designs in the corners.
Yeah.
That knocks it out of two gray hill. So I researched it, and this is a Tiknos Pos,
Tisnos Pas?
Tiknos Pos rug. It's been there
Okay.
since 1960. The other rug behind you has also been there since about 1960. I do not know the area that came from.
Wow. Wow. Okay.
And then all the pottery, that horsehair pottery is just fascinating to people when they find out this, it's been baked right into the pottery area. Or it burns off. It leaves the black marks in the pottery. It's just so beautiful. It looks like marble, but it's pottery.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the traditional etching, the detail in the etching is phenomenal, and how they get it so uniform and so many designs. It's just unbelievable.
Awesome. Well, I thank you for your time, and that would conclude my interview.
All right.
I appreciate it.
Well, you're very